Hello everyone, my name is Devin Kraus, and for the past 4 years I've been trying to become an animator. If you're watching this video expecting a tutorial, then you're in the wrong place. But that doesn't mean you won't find something you might be looking for. This isn't a how-to series or just a bunch of random tutorials, although I might do some tutorials in a few weeks once I've had a little bit of practice. No, this is more of a documentation of my journey to becoming an animator. I will, however, be linking any and all books, online courses, tutorials, animations, animators, and anything else that I use in these videos. So with that said, welcome to An Animator in the Making. Hello again everyone! Sorry for getting this video out so late. I'm actually recording it the same day I'm about to upload it, so I didn't have time to do a lot of commentary on everything I did this week. What I'm working on right now is actually a kind of new design, not a redesign, just like an extra design for the Horseman, which was kind of what I was going to use that Axeman character I made that one time. I then realized after I had made it, the axe didn't make a lot of sense on a Horseman because you'd just be wielding a big weapon and it would throw you off balance. I'll probably still do it because, you know, cartoon logic, but I thought a spear actually would make a lot more sense. That and a lance. I might design a lance person later on, but right now I thought the spear would be more fun. I designed the head to be kind of like a split head. You'll see that here in a second when I do cleanup art. And I kind of like the look of it. I don't know if I'm going to do like magic runes on the spear and do some kind of orb of light in that cavity, but right now I really like how this design worked out. I ran out of space on top of the paper. I really should have done this vertically. And I really wanted to add like a spike or something to the top of it to give a kind of unique feel to the helmet. Beyond that, this is basically a copy and paste of the last character I drew like this, of the Axeman. I did change up the body shape a little bit to make this feel like a different character. Considering this is supposed to be kind of like a person in an army, I could see why the armor would look exactly the same. So it does make sense that their armor would be similar. So it does actually fit with the whole kind of war aesthetic when I'm making these warriors. I don't know what the horses are going to look like yet, if they're going to look like alien or just like regular horses. I'm leaning towards regular horses right now, but you never know, I might actually change it up a bit. I didn't actually get around to turning this character into digital format. I'll probably move on to that later. I'd much rather finish up working on animation practice like of the king and queen. I didn't work on any of that this week. The main reason was both work and my computer was acting funny this week. I later found out the reason was I had a bunch of programs open I did not know that were open on it. Because when I restarted my computer, it asked if I wanted to open a bunch of stuff. And I was like, oh, yeah, that would crash my animation software. But yeah, I didn't realize that until like literally today. Anyways, the next thing I started working on was drawing just kind of a little location of kind of a cave I work on. If you've ever looked at that picture in the background of the animated bit in the intro, I have like a little cave in the background of it, and like a little bridge that you are kind of looking down, and if you look over the edge of that bridge, you can see the cave in the background. I kind of based this cave off of that cave. They're not the same location. That other cave I designed was for some concept, an underwater cave kind of, with kind of like Legend of Zelda Zora people ruling over it. But I'm not going to touch on that until either I refine that concept better or until I actually get to working on that. Right now what I was working on was just seeing if I could turn kind of what I do in digital format, what you've seen like the past few weeks, and put it into practice on real pen and paper and see if I could do a different position. I'm actually looking at reference when doing this on my computer so I could get like a better idea of how a person actually sits. Because you should not really ever do anything from memory until you're like really good at art. At least that's what a lot of professionals have told me. They say if you try to do anything without reference, it's more than likely going to turn out as garbage. As you can see right now, I'm just adding some detail into the background. And originally those vision lines I drew was going to be the queen looking at something. But then it gave me the idea of doing light coming into the cave, and that's when I drew that cavity in the top right corner. Now what you're seeing is me digitizing it, because I actually wanted to do some effects on it, to kind of do like light particles coming in. I didn't want to do like a full-on animation. It's kind of like those card games like Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering, or I'm sure there's more, but where like you get a golden card and it has just some slight animation on it, whether it be the background, an explosion, or the character just slightly moving, or something on the card even changing. I kind of wanted to do something like that with this, with the light. So I started drawing it in the digital format, extended it a little bit because the paper wasn't quite as wide as my digital software, and just started adding in to see what I could do. Originally, I drew in the stalagmites one by one, but that was taking forever. And then I realized I could probably use, I can't remember what it's called. I believe it's called, it's not an effect, but it's like where you mess with your stroke. I'd have to pull it up on Moho to see what it was exactly called. But it makes it so you can just draw a line and add stuff to it. You can use it for making like gears or just like stars or something. Like the sun mostly would be a good example, like a cartoon sun where it has little spikes, or you can call it fire, whatever you want to call it, coming out of it. You can use it for stuff like that. You can even animate them, which is the amazing part. So I just used it and used a still image to just kind of make the stalagmites have a little bit more depth to them instead of just drawing all those bumps one by one with points. Did the same with the wall too, eventually. And you could add as many or take away as many as you want. I chose, I think, 64 for everything. I might have blown the wall up to 100, I can't remember exactly. The road is literally just a rectangle that I added a ton of effects to. It's an effect called Kreation, which basically is just a bunch of random strokes. Now that would look terrible if I hadn't used blur image on it, which is basically just where you distort the image as much as possible. I distorted it only by 5% and it looked like that. If I distorted it anymore, it just looked really weird and like a blurry picture, so I felt that looked the best. I could have also used soft edge, but I didn't like the look of soft edge when I originally did it. The bench, I would say I spent a good portion of time on, just because I was trying to figure out how to get that in a 3D setting. If I would have had more time, I probably would have just gone into something like Storyboard and made the bench in 3D, or maybe even Blender, and made like a model of the bench and then traced over the top of that. But again, I did this whole drawing today just to give myself a little extra content because I was having trouble with it crashing when I was working on the models. I don't know if you can see it at this speed, but the software crashes actually 3 times in some of these videos right here. Another thing that I kind of worked on was adding just minor detail to the bench, like adding the swirls, adding the sides to it, to just make it feel like there was just a little more there, so it's not just like sitting on a block. Thought about adding in lights to just kind of be reminiscent of the Hollow Nest lights where they have something in them like bugs or something, but I didn't exactly want to rip off Hollow Knight completely, and also I kind of ran out of time and I didn't want to add a bunch of lighting effects in the background, so it didn't just look like there was a lamp sitting there and just surrounded by darkness. I did though go forward with adding the light in the background with the particle effects. So once I pulled in the Queen, a model that I made in the library, which, yeah, she is rigged. I have actually gotten that finished this week. I lost a lot of the footage though. My computer, for some reason, didn't like the recordings and they were really corrupted. Otherwise, I'd show a lot of that. You'll see a little bit of it later in the video, but yeah, she's now rigged in a better way, so I'm going to get back on the dance animations next week. So right now you're seeing me add in the light, and I'm just kind of putting in effects to make it kind of fade. I think I turned it down to about 30% on opacity, and then just made it eventually just fade into nothing using a gradient level. Then I used soft edge and turned it up to, I want to say like 50 or 60 to add that. Then I used a mask layer on the Queen and added a little bit of a light effect to her by making her a little bit yellow, and just having that fade out the farther down it goes down her body past the light. After that, I used a particle engine and just drew a single circle, made every different particle based on depth, and just did the depth I think at 10. You'll see like a few big ones fly by the screen, but they're really transparent because of how I did this. And it just added this nice effect. This is it when it's rendered out. I think it turned out great. If I had spent more time on it, I probably would have made the light a little more directed and a little faded on the edges. But beyond that, I really like how this turned out. Now what you're watching is me re-rigging the King and Queen in this video. The reason I'm re-rigging them is because I accidentally rigged them wrong because I forgot how to do this when I originally rigged them. What I did was I made 8 different rigs for each of the turns. I should have made one rig and used smart bones and smart morphing, so when I rotate them using a dial, it's just the same bones, so whenever I turn them, that doesn't happen. Yeah, It's very distorting. It happened a lot in the dance animation when I originally did it, and that's why I actually made all the layers separate. But I had thought I had done something in the past that was similar to it. So this week I started going through some of my old stuff that I kind of like the original concept art of these and other stuff I've made, kind of like Lord of the Rings elves that I've designed in the past. I don't really want to show those here because they're terribly drawn, and also they're very janky. I spent like a year making one because I was just really set on making an elf, and I wasted a year, I'll say that. I should have taken a drawing class first. They are terrible looking. Anyways, I used that model as reference to remember how I did it, and pulled some of the dial ideas from it. The only thing I say I changed from the dials was normally when I do dials, I do up and down and left and right. I have them all facing the same direction. This time when I had the eye dial put in, I put it as up and down and rotated it to the side so I'd know which one it is. They're really easy to lose track of, but one thing I forgot to do is actually color code the dials. Because I forgot in Moho 13 you can actually color code them now. So that's probably going to be one thing I do later. I haven't completely finished rigging her. Like her face still needs rigged, like her eyes, which is all that's on it. So once I rig those, and then I'll probably add in a few more hand gestures. So in the animation I can have them actually change hands when like they're holding hands, or when she's gesturing out, and then like a closed hand. Probably in total I'll need about 10, 15 hands, but with how I designed her hands, it'll be super easy. That's one thing I really like about these hands. If you go back and watch the videos, they're basically triangles and squares. So they're very easy to make. I'd say I'd spend maybe a minute per hand. So in total, if I use the same hands for both the king and queen, that's just a 10-minute project. The one thing I'm going to say I need to remember to do, I need to separate the head and the body from each turning, because I did them all in one right now. So once I finish up kind of the basic rigging and making sure everything works so I just don't waste time, I'm going to separate the heads and put them in their own layer. Well, group layer, and then put them in their own kind of turn animation so I can rotate the head separate from the body. Otherwise, they all just turn at once, and it'd be kind of awkward watching the whole body turn when they want to talk to someone behind them. Another thing I need to remember to do is fix the king's cape. It needs to go in a separate layer and also be on a different kind of rotation level. Otherwise, it's going to get very awkward to work with too. The other reason I'd want to do this as well is so I could rig it and make it able to blow in the wind. I'm going to rig it another day, not today, because, well, not even this week, because it's just going to get very awkward and very long, and I'm not going to be able to get anything out this week, probably. Other than just watching something similar to this, and I'd like to get back to the dance animation. I might not get anything done next week just because it's Thanksgiving week, but I do plan on having at least some work done, and if I have enough to justify a video, I definitely will release one. Otherwise, expect maybe a slightly extended video next week. Yeah, if you guys have any tips though, for anyone who's watching this, if any of you use Moho or anything similar, and you have tips on how to do this to make it go quicker, I'd love to hear it. And if you know anything in this design that you think would improve it, or you want to see me do something, just let me know and I'll try it out. But until next time, thank you for watching, and have a great Thanksgiving.
Destruction!
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. If you want to know when I upload my next video, then don't forget to turn on notifications. And if you know someone who you think would enjoy this video, then please share it with them. Also, we have a Reddit page now, so please come ruin it with us.